Hello and welcome to the Jeff Finch Experiment. Dun-dun. I am here with Nick Lewis yet again. This will be the second podcast we've done together now. Ta-da! And we had so much fun the first time, and he was the only person to say yes when I put out the call for somebody to come over this weekend, so I figured we'd bring him back. We always have a good time together, so we thought we'd talk about more stuff. What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about my dad and gin.
So Nick was telling me earlier, he's like, you know, we kind of put together, like, we write down some ideas of stuff to talk about, and, pardon me, we were thinking about, like, maybe some stories, and just some other random, like, pop culture stuff, and top 10 lists, and movies, and weird stuff like that. I mean, we've been hanging out for the last 2 hours now. We've been hanging out for the last 3 hours now, talking, and, I had a lot of issues, technical problems, getting the mixer set up today. I don't know why, but I did. But anyway, yeah, you were mentioning, like, some story with Jin and your dad. Let's hear it. I've been waiting all night to hear it.
Well, last time I was here, I was bringing over I had a couple of drinks I was bringing over.
You had gin.
I had a bottle of Bacardi Lemon, which I bought for you a while ago. And
delicious.
You have a drink.
Did you leave that here, by the way?
Yeah. I said, here, take it. I don't want it.
I don't know where it's at, because I didn't see it in the fridge or anything.
Well, that's what happened the last time I brought gin here, actually, a couple months ago. It just disappeared.
Well, that I wouldn't drink. I don't drink gin.
Well, actually, it comes back to the same... It'll come back this...
So you're saying, anyway.
Well, it'll come back. Trust me. You'll notice it. Anyhow, so I had a little 6-pack mixer of different beers, and I didn't want to bring a bottle of gin, so I poured it in a clear water jug. I stuck it in there. We recorded the audio.
Right.
I left, came back home. I put the bottle of gin in the refrigerator.
Laid back. Sorry. Gin and juice. Couldn't help it.
As long as you didn't say, it's cold gin time again. You know it always will. Sorry.
That's awesome. Anyway, you were saying.
Anyhow, I guess, well, I never found this out till about a week later, but apparently my dad took a swig out of it, thinking it was a half-empty water bottle.
Oh, my God.
And he goes up to my mom, he's like, Laura, water can go bad? And he asked me about it. He's like, no, that was gin. For God's sakes.
That's like...
Well, one of the last times I was here that's how I transported my gin, is I put it in a water bottle, and I asked him, I was like, hey, you remember if I left a water bottle of gin in it?
Yeah.
Well, if you do not drink it. There's gin in there, not water.
No, you were just pouring the gin straight into the bottle. You're just drinking it straight? Or
No, I was mixing. I also had ginger ale. So that's my favorite drink, is gin and ginger ale.
What kind of ginger ale do you use with your gin?
I don't know.
Like Canada Dry, something basic, or Schweppes or something?
Yeah, Schweppes or Canada Dry, whatever I can find. So I'm like, I can't really tell the difference between the two.
There's a ginger ale called Verner's. Verner's? Yeah, I think it's called Verner's Ginger Ale. You can buy it at Walmart. I'd never heard of it, but a couple years ago I was working with a guy who is a fan of Scotch. And we were talking about booze one day, and he's like, dude, you gotta get this particular brand of Scotch. I can't even think of what it's called now. But it was a blended version, blended Scotch. It wasn't very expensive, but he said if you mix it with Verner's Ginger Ale, it's tits. Like, it's really good. So, I went to Walmart after work, picked up some ginger ale, went over to this liquor store, yada yada.
Oh, we have to go to a liquor store because we're not cool enough.
We're in Pennsylvania, yeah. Or country. We have to actually have a store that's like nothing but liquor and wine. But anyway, so like I get this stuff and it ends up being fantastic. This Verner's with the Scotch. And so I started just like buying the Verner's just by itself, and it's really good just by itself. Like, it's really good ginger ale. It's like, it actually tastes like ginger. It doesn't just taste like soda water with a spritz of ginger. It tastes like the little pink slabs of ginger you get with your wasabi and your sushi. Like, that's what it tastes like. It's very strong.
What I wanted was a little mushu.
Right.
Wait, what?
You want to tell you the shitty chicken? But anyway, that's a South Park reference.
Wait a minute, I don't remember Arnold Schwarzenegger being in Rush Hour.
Which one of you all just kicked me? And then, what was the MSG line?
In Hong Kong. I am.
Oh my God.
Jackson, yo, Toto.
We should make that a podcast segment. Arnold Schwarzenegger doing lines from other people's movies. Yeah. Dude, let's just do that right now.
You can't do that to the people, Mr. President.
I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, by the way. Seriously, like, dude, he couldn't go wrong in the 80s.
Seriously, voice is more fun to impersonate than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
There aren't many. I mean, there's like him. Christopher Walken's a big one that people like to impersonate.
He's a good one.
You know, and of course there's like cartoon characters. Everybody does a Homer Simpson impression. Everybody does a Peter Griffin. Everybody does like a Porky Pig or a Bugs Bunny. But like, yeah, when it comes to like just actors and like really hugely popular actors.
My favorite is Vito Corleone. I think it's more fun.
That's a very good one, you know. I like it.
Whenever you talk, you talk more into your chin. Your chin needs to be touching your chest.
Speaking of Marlon Brando, recently I was on, just in the past week, I was watching something on YouTube. I can't remember what it was, but it was like one of those, like, just like interview type things. Like, I can't remember. It was funny. But somebody was talking about Marlon Brando, and they mentioned Marlon Brando in the movie The Wild Ones. Have you ever watched that movie?
No.
It's from. Are you familiar with it at all? Like,
I've only seen a few of Marlon Brando's movies.
That was, I think, I don't know if that was his breakout hit, but it was one of the biggest movies he made. It was from like 1953, black and white movie, and it's about, you know, Marlon Brando. He's a member of this biker gang.
Yeah, I think I would recognize the pictures of him.
Yes.
He wears that like hat.
It's very vintage, like, you know, but like, so I decided to look this up recently. I'm like, I'm gonna look up The Wild Ones. So I start, like, the whole movie's on YouTube. It is laughable. Like, I can't understand why this movie is so renowned. Like, at the time, I guess I can understand it, because it was the early 50s. The greaser thing wasn't real big. Rock and roll hadn't happened yet. Elvis hadn't happened yet. You know, it's a couple years before Elvis. And basically in the movie, you know, he's like, dude, he's wearing, like, this leather jacket, the white shirt, and the tight jeans. And, you know, I mean, he's a good-looking guy and everything at the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but the thing that bugged me was, like, the way that he was dressed. Like, the fit of his jacket just looked fucking silly. And the way he talked. He had such a high voice. So, like, in this one scene I watched, I can only stomach about 20 minutes of this movie. He walks into this bar, right? And he sits down. I don't even remember what he said, because I was laughing so hard at the way he said it. Like, he's like, "Hey, let me get a scotch." Or something like just real super like high, like, you know, just crazy voice. I couldn't stomach it. I'm like, this is terrible. Why is this guy known for this movie?
You're supposed to know like a voice like this. And he was Scotch.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely not Vito Corleone. There was no Don Vito anywhere near this.
Me this on the day which my daughter was to be married. But I cannot do.
You know, The Godfather, I only watched that for the very first time about maybe 2 years ago. I never saw it.
It's a really good movie.
It's unbelievable. It's so good. And I think I was actually talking to you one day, and I mentioned it.
Whenever you get an Italian cast together, you can't get better than that until you get to the third one.
That's exactly what you told me a couple years ago. I remember, because like
I mean, it's pretty sad when you're the director and you got to cast your own daughter. But at least it did win awards, though.
It had to win awards.
Yeah, Golden Raspberries. I think it won like 4 or 5.
Yeah, dude, like, I watched the first one. Me and Ashley sat down one day and watched it. Because, like, it's one of those movies. It's a classic movie. Everybody says it's great, and I'd never seen it. So, it was, like, on HBO or something.
Like
she and I sat down and watched it.
Something.
Yeah, I think it was on HBO, because I think it was, like, uncensored. And I watched it. I was absolutely enthralled. And, like, I don't really love, like, gangster movies. Except for, you know, the very best ones. Obviously, Casino is excellent.
I haven't seen Casino in a while.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, I know that movie word for word. Goodfellas.
Oh.
Probably the best.
I've even read the book that Goodfellas is based on.
Yeah, I've never read it.
It's pretty cool. I've also read the book, The Godfather also.
Oh, really? Who wrote The Godfather?
Mario Puzo.
You know, I think I do remember seeing that, like, in the credits or something. So anyway, after I watched the first one, I was talking to you one day, and you actually told me, like, dude, you need to watch the second one, but do not watch the third one. And I'm like, why not? You're like, it's so bad that it's not worth watching. I'm like, well, if it's really bad, then it's worth watching. Because I like to watch really bad movies sometimes, you know what I mean?
Who doesn't?
I watched the second one, and the second one I thought was maybe even better than the first one.
I want to say that, but it's one of those, yeah. It's
maybe I want to say, let me rephrase that. I think the story was better in the second one. But the lack of, like, you know, Marlon Brando. I mean, Marlon Brando was in the second one, but he wasn't the star by any stretch. I think you only saw him, like, in the beginning and the end or something. Because then there was the young Don Corleone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that wasn't played by Brando. That was played by somebody else, wasn't it?
Robert De Niro.
De Niro, that's right. And, yeah. So I watched the second one, and I thought it was great.
I think the second one was a little harder to follow, storyline.
I did have trouble following it. Like, I can't remember how it wrapped up. I think it's just
it goes back to Michael's childhood, to whenever he takes over the family. Right. And back is like, well, wait a minute. Where does the Jew guy come in? How did Fredo get
Al
connected?
Pacino is so good in that movie. And, like, you know, Al Pacino, I always thought Al Pacino was kind of overrated. Like, I mean, there were great movies. Obviously, Godfather, he's awesome. Son of a Woman's a good movie.
Say Scarface, I'm going to smack you.
I like Scarface a lot. You don't like Scarface?
No, it's terrible.
See, that should be one of the do not watch movies we were talking about. My friend's podcast.
I'm sorry, but there's just sometimes an actor or an actress would be able to do a passable accent. And that's one that's just completely
he doesn't do
fell
Cuban.
apart.
No, he doesn't. He's not believable as Cuban, but I believe him as his character.
It's almost as bad as Harrison Ford doing a Russian accent in K-19.
Never saw that one either.
Absolutely terrible.
Of course, that movie doesn't have the kind of clout that Scarface does. Like, people fucking love Scarface. My sister's
Rappers
husband.
love it.
Yeah, rappers do love. My sister's husband loves Scarface. It's one of his favorite. He turned me onto it. I never saw it.
He has the PS2 game.
Yeah, that's true. He does. And that's right. I played it with him one day, and I'd never seen the movie, and he's like, dude, we need to sit down and watch it. And, like, we sat down and watched it. I loved it. I thought it was a good movie. Like, the story's good. The action's
3
good.
hours
There's
long.
Tons of blood. You know, a lot of gore, a lot of shooting. I mean, Christ, the dude takes a chainsaw and chops everybody up.
The guy who played Manny, I've only seen him in one other movie. That was The Beast.
Don't recognize him at all.
Oh, he
That's the
plays
only
member
thing
of the
I know him from.
Mujahideen during the Soviet invasion, and that was a good movie. It's one of my favorite war movies.
What's that movie called?
It's called The Beast.
The Beast. I'm gonna write that down.
It's about
I like war movies.
It's about a Soviet tank crew.
Is that like an 80s movie?
Yeah, like
Cool.
late 70s. It has Stephen Baldwin in it.
Stephen Baldwin?
Stephen
Oh, it has to be like late 80s, because Stephen Baldwin's a lot younger than Alec and the rest
Yeah.
of them. Yeah, so it had to be like a late 80s movie.
What's the worst thing about being a Baldwin? Nothing.
You ever see that episode of South Park?
No.
Or no, it was in the South
from
Park
the movie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, so like, what were we saying? Oh, Pacino. Pacino I always thought was kind of overrated. Like, you know, he's well known, obviously, for the movies that he did. And there are some great movies he did. But, like, there's something about him I don't like. And, like, just the, oh-ha! Like, that whole thing. I guess that's Son of a Woman sort of thing. But, like, some of the movies he's been in probably in the last 15 years, the only one that sticks out to me as being anywhere good, or not even watched, was the football movie he did. What was it called?
Any Given Sunday?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Okay.
with Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx plays, like, the
That's probably the first one I ever
star
saw him
quarterback.
in.
Yeah, it's a good movie. That's the first movie you saw Jamie Foxx in?
I think so.
Really? Because that came out in the early 2000s. Like 02, 03, something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, it did. And Jamie Foxx, he was on In Living Color. Did you ever watch that TV show?
Yeah. Well, I have on DVD.
I don't know if Jamie Foxx was in the show that early.
No.
Because I think
it
he
was the
came in
third.
later on, yeah.
Yeah, because that's whenever youngest Wayans brothers came in and Jennifer Lopez joined.
Yeah, she was the fly girl, one of the fly girls, the
Yeah.
dancers. Yeah, the younger brother, that would have been Marlon and Sean, probably.
Yeah, I think it was Sean.
Sean Wayans was actually in the beginning. He was the DJ the first couple years.
S5.
SW1.
SW1.
SW1, yeah. Living Color was an excellent TV show.
No, but I think that's one of the favorite skits I've ever seen from In Living Color was that dating show. And it had Jamie Foxx.
As the ugly woman?
God, no.
Is that what it was?
Those lips.
Yeah.
It was how.
Oh, yeah, he had like that, like, it was, yeah, what was
Jim
it? Like,
It was Jim Carrey and the other black guy that was on the...
you gotta be more specific.
Oh, yeah,
there was a lot of black guys.
The one that
on
wasn't a
Color.
weigh-in.
Oh, probably Tommy Davidson? The real skinny looking.
yeah.
I like how I'm just
That
like,
was
yeah,
how-
the black guy that's not a Wayans. Oh, it's gotta be Tommy Davidson. Who else could it be? Was it Kim Wayans? No, that's a woman. Are you sure that's a woman? Yeah,
Do they wear
she's
glasses?
a woman.
Do they have blue eyes?
Jim Carrey, and then there was a white woman on that show too. I can't think of her name, but boy, was she hilarious. And she was in the first few seasons. Every time
I know
there
which
was,
one you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know her name. I can't think of it. And like, I honestly don't think I ever saw her in anything except that show, except she played a cameo role in some early 90s movie, and I'm pretty sure it was a Wayans movie. It might have been like, what's the one? Don't Be a Menace to Society was a Wayans movie. I think maybe that's the one, or maybe one of the Scary movies. Scary movie, that's what it was. It was the first Scary movie. She played like a high school teacher for Anna Faris's character in the first Scary movie. Yeah, it was a cameo.
I haven't seen those movies in years.
I've seen all of them, but the
How many
first
are
one,
there?
I think there's 4. There might be 5.
I
now.
do like how the fact that they had Leslie Nielsen as the president of the United States.
That's right. The first Scary movie was very funny, like really funny. The second one was just terrible. The third one was pretty
Is that
good.
the one with the haunted house?
No, I don't remember, to be honest with you.
arm.
The third one was Oh, what was it? There was like a lot of. I mean, obviously those movies were.
But that was the one
parodies,
who had like signs, the reference M. Night Shyamalan or whatever. His character, the alien.
Shyamalan. You're thinking of no. Signs was Mel Gibson.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
M. Night Shyamalan would be.
Had like the cornfield or whatever. And,
yeah.
And they're wearing all the aluminum foil hats and all that shit.
I don't remember that from Scary Movie. Huh. I never saw Signs, by the way. I never saw it.
Oh, and I never did either, but I just remember certain scenes from it. I think I was one that had Michael Jackson in there.
Really?
They took a sheet off and
Oh yeah, I remember that from Scary Movie. That's right. He's like, ah. Yeah, I do remember that. Okay, well, you know, we mentioned Mel Gibson. He's a good actor, like who's gone completely batshit crazy. But you know, he's directed a few movies, and the movies I've seen that he directed were pretty good. Have you seen Apocalypto? Is it Apocalypto? Apocalypto? Oh, I can't even think of what the hell it's called now.
Yeah.
Apocalyptic.
Smart. Top 10 words you cannot pronounce.
Apocalyptica? I don't know. I just remember it was an awesome movie.
Wait,
like,
it's not when they suck the fat out of you? No, it's liposuction. Never mind.
No, that was... Oh, what was that? They sucked the fat out of Marlon Brando's ass. That was Basketball. You ever see that movie?
No.
Yeah, that was the
Matt Stone, Trey Parker.
Yes, the creators of South Park. Basketball was a very funny movie. It was basically they created this sport that was a hybrid of baseball and basketball, like on a whim, like in somebody's like front yard, and then all of a sudden it became like this national sport. And one of the parts of the sport was you could psych out whoever's up to quote bat, finger quotes bat, and that person basically would like do like a foul shot, basically, and if you made it, you got so many points, you can advance so many bases. Anyway, someone would stand there and just talk shit on whoever's throwing the ball, whoever's turn it is. And one of the things that Trey Parker's character did was, he had like this bag that looked like human fat. And he's like, had a straw in his bag and he's sucking it out. And he's like, oh, it's fat liposuctioned out of Marlon Brando's ass. And then like dude's like giving like all these funny faces and he takes a sip. He's like, oh, it's so salty and warm. And the dude just totally gets psyched out. He couldn't shoot the ball. It was classic. It's actually a funny movie. Like it's really dumb, but it's very funny.
I'm sure it's very funny.
Yeah. Oh, and I think who's
Tell me another one.
Yasmin Bleeth is in that movie too. She's so fun. Oh, at that time she was good looking.
Yeah.
I don't know what she looks like now. She's probably had a ton of plastic surgery, just like all the supermodels from the 90s. All of them look fucking terrible now because they all go crazy with plastic surgery. Of course, that was like 20 years ago, so these chicks are all in their 40s and 50s now. So Well, speaking of movies that we haven't seen, we started putting together a list earlier of some movies, and one really surprised me. You mentioned that you hadn't fully seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
No.
You gotta watch that. It's so good.
How many good movies have you ever seen Matthew Broderick in?
Not many.
You say Matthew Broderick, what's the first thing everybody says?
Godzilla.
Oh, yeah. Other than Ferris Bueller. But
that was terrible, yeah. No, Ferris Bueller, obviously. But I mean, like, when it comes to...
The only thing that saved Godzilla 2000 for me was Jean Reno.
He was good in that movie.
I think he's one of the best.
You know what? Hank Azaria was good in that movie, too.
He was in that?
Hank Azaria.
Yeah, that's right. He was part of the news team.
The voice of Homer? Yeah, he was the news team. He was whenever Sam Madison...
He's not the voice of Homer.
Hank Azaria is not the voice of Homer Simpson? Oh, no, wait, that's Hank Calistelia or whatever the hell his name is. That's right.
He does a poo.
Hank does all the other male voices. No, you're right. Hank Azaria is like one of those
Harry
actors...
Shearer from the basis for Spinal Tap, who did all the voices.
Really? Yeah. I know Harry Shearer's in there,
he does,
too.
He does Ned Flanders, Mr. Burns, Smithers.
Huh. You know what? I like The Simpsons, but I've never been a hardcore Simpsons fan.
I am, but I was surprised, but I went through I got the first 10 seasons on DVD, and it said
Which is less than half of the whole series, by the way. That's fucking crazy if you think about
23 or 24.
There's well over 500 episodes.
Yeah, but they, even in the liner notes, they said that most fans say that after the 9th season, that's whenever the quality of the show started to go downhill. And I'm like, even after watching the first episode of season 10, I'm like, yeah, these are starting to get bad.
Why do you think it got bad? Like, what's the difference?
It's not as funny. As a couple funny parts, and whenever something's funny, whatever, it's like, oh. And whenever it starts not getting very funny, it's like, that's pretty good. It makes you chuckle and doesn't make you laugh.
That show's was so smart though. I mean, even at the beginning, but I think it got a lot better. And I'm not a connoisseur of The Simpsons at all, like I mentioned. Like, I do like it, and I will watch it if it's on, and I'll watch any episode of that show, and I will always laugh, and I'll always appreciate the humor. But I know what you're saying, how, like, sometimes shows just kind of lose it after a while. I mean, Family Guy's a good example. After about the 9th season of Family Guy, it kind of got out of control. Like, you know, they just wasn't as funny, and they started doing, like, these super long gags on there. But they've always done long gags, but they would do these weird things. Like, there was one episode, for example, there's this old guy on there. His name is Herbert the Pervert, and he has a crush on Chris Griffin, who's the son. And this old guy, like, has a walker, and he talks like this. Hey, Chris, how are you today? And he's gay, and loves young children, like young boys. That's his shtick, and he's in love with Chris Griffin. And there's an episode where, like, Chris is over at Herbert's house, like, cutting his grass or something like that, and this old German guy moves into town who's, like, a puppeteer, and it turns out the old German guy was an old Nazi. And Herbert the Pervert knew him because he was an American war veteran in World War II, and he remembers this guy. The dude's name was, like, Hans or some overly German name. And so then, anyway,
so soft.
At the end of the episode, these two have a fist fight, and they're both like 95 years old, and they're super slow, and this fist fight lasts for literally 5 to 10 minutes. It was really slow, drawn out, no action. It was the most boring thing ever. Like, the episode wasn't bad until that point.
Come on,
And-
even that fight with Edward Norton in Fight Club is more entertaining than this crap.
Dude.
He's fighting himself.
Everything in Fight Club is entertaining. That's, like, one of my favorite online movies. It's so good. Anyway, yeah, so, like, you know, it just, Family Guy got to that point where, like, they started doing these stretched out gags, I think just to fill time. Like, they were like, we can't write enough jokes to fill a half hour. Let's just do a gag that lasts
Just
7
make it look
minutes.
visually stimulating.
Or another thing they do on Family Guy, which I actually like it, but my wife hates it, is they do this gag, like, once every other season they do it, where they cut away to Conway Twitty. So, like, basically, there'll be, like, an uncomfortable moment, finger quotes, uncomfortable moment, and, like, you know, like, Peter will say, well, this is an uncomfortable pause. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty. And then it cuts to, like, a live performance that Conway Twitty did from, like, you know, the 60s or 70s or whatever.
Wherever that is.
You don't know who Conway Twitty is?
No.
Oh, he's a country singer. A very, very, very popular country music singer. You've heard a couple of his tunes. Like, he had, like, international hits. I know you're not a country guy.
I'm sure he's about as popular as that fat that's been sucked out of Marlon Brando's ass.
Oh, it's all salty.
I'm sure he is too.
So anyway, anyway, they would, like, do this Conway Twitty thing, and they would show, like, him doing an entire song, like an entire 4 minutes of his song, just, like, on stage. Like, they would literally cut it from, like, an episode of, like, The Tonight Show or something like that. And it was good because the songs are always good, but at the same time, it's like you guys couldn't, like,
wait, this is a
fucking make some
cartoon, isn't
jokes.
it?
Yeah, right. So anyway,
No,
but
like The Simpsons or whatever, they have like an anime. It would have probably put like Conway Twitty in there, but he would be as a Simpson.
yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Simpson-esque character.
That's what I liked about The Simpsons. Is they would bring all these celebrities on and have their characters. I mean, you know, in celebrities that, you know, like, aren't even really celebrities, or people that, you know, like, celebrities that a lot of people won't know. The obvious example is Fish was on there. Fish was on an episode of Simpsons. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, back in the late 90s when Fish was at their height. And, you know, at that time, I remember
The
seeing
Simpsons
that
are
episode.
the downfall.
Yeah, right. Fish never had a downfall. Of course, they broke up and came back together, but, you know,
But they're still awesome.
they were on an episode. But I mean, so many celebrities have been on that show. And, you know, in the Simpson look, you know, they draw them in Family Guy.
The overbite.
Yeah, on Family Guy, whenever you see a celebrity, usually it's either real life, like real action life, or how they look, or, like, they will draw them in once in a while. Like, there's an episode of Family Guy with Ryan Reynolds in it that's a really good episode. But it's not like a live action Ryan Reynolds. It's him playing himself as a cartoon, like The Simpsons does. But anyway, I digress. Speaking of digress, Joe, our friend Joe, I am going to mention his name because he was giving me shit the other day whenever we were over his house about our podcast last week. And he's like, dude, I really liked it.
Giving him shit about Joe's mom.
Yeah, well, we always give him shit about his mom. But anyway, he's like, dude, I loved it. It was so good. He's like, but you guys digress constantly. And, like, I didn't understand what he meant by that. And then, like, then it hit me. I'm like, oh, like, we constantly change subjects in that podcast.
That's
like,
the point of it.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun of it.
That's
like,
why you call it the experiment.
Experiment, right, because you never know what's going to happen. Jeff Finch experiment is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it could be an experience or an experiment.
You have seen Forrest Gump, though, right? Like, you've seen that movie?
I don't know why, but there's been all kinds of, like, a resurgence of Forrest Gump memes.
I've seen a ton of Forrest Gump memes lately.
What is this? They come out with, like, a 25th anniversary or something?
No, it wouldn't be that long. I think a movie came out in, like, 94, so it'd be like 22 years ago. But I don't know. You're right, though. There are a lot of Forrest Gump memes. I have seen a bunch of them. like lately on Facebook.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with like Pokemon Go.
I have seen some, like there was like,
I think there was one where he's he's
like all bearded up and running and stuff.
I think it was right at the scene right after his mom died or passes away. He gets off.
He stands up on a porch and he starts running. Yeah,
and he goes back to the Pokemon.
Have you messed with the Pokemon Go at all?
God, no.
Have you ever played Pokemon? Like any of the games?
No.
With the Pokemon thing, like I did a Facebook Live thing the other night exclusively about Nintendo. Well, almost exclusively. I talked a ton about Nintendo. And the Pokemon thing, obviously, it's a huge craze right now. The game is actually cool. Like, I downloaded it, I tried it out, and I deleted it because I wasn't going to play it anymore. But, like, the concept, I think, is amazing. Basically, do you know the concept at all of it?
Doesn't it use your camera?
Yes.
On your phone?
Yes, and your GPS. And what it does is it follows you, basically. Like, or I should say you follow it. Like, it'll tell you, hey, so many miles away or feet away or whatever, there's a Pokemon, which would be like a little animal, and then you have to walk, like, literally get out of your house and walk to that location. You catch the animal, you like swipe up with your phone, like on your phone, and you throw this thing called a Pokeball, and it catches the Pokemon. And people are just walking all over the place.
Yeah, in the middle of the road and getting hit by
exactly.
vehicles.
People aren't paying attention because people are morons.
I know there's at least one child that's been killed.
And what's funny is, like, people are finding all these hacks now, like, on how, like, one of the things is the more you walk, like, you gain, I think the way it works, so anybody who's listening to this, please don't castrate me or anything because I got it wrong. But, I think the more you walk, it like, calculates how much you walk, like, distance-wise using GPS, and it allows you to do different things, like, there's these things called, these eggs you collect, and then you walk, and as you walk, you incubate the eggs, and then the eggs eventually hatch into new Pokemon. Well, somebody figured out that if you take a record player, and you set your phone on that record player, and that phone just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, it simulates walking to the phone. The phone doesn't know the difference.
Well, just take your phone and put it in the microwave.
I think I saw that on something recently. Oh, about charging your phone or something. Yeah, did I post? I don't know.
No, that's what you did. It was a hack. Somebody actually believed that it actually worked. It actually
worked, yeah, and they melted their phone.
And they were pissed.
Dude, speaking of being pissed in phones, I was at work today, and this one guy I work with, he's a pretty good guy. He was like, him and his old lady were having some kind of problem. I didn't get into the specifics, but he got so pissed that he snapped his phone in half. He has like a Samsung, I think he has a Galaxy Note 4. So it's a big phone. It's like a 5.7-inch phone.
Oh yeah, but still, man.
He went into his, like, he was telling me that she was pissing him off, and it had something to do with something they were doing tonight. And all of a sudden, he goes in his office and he shuts his door, and I'm standing at the counter. I'm like dealing with a customer, and I hear like some F-bombs and some stuff getting thrown around. And I'm like, man, he's really upset. And he comes out and he takes his phone and he lays it on the counter. And dude, it is completely snapped in half. Not broken apart, but like folded in half. And it's just completely effed up. I'm like, holy shit.
You save on shipping that way.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I guess it's not as bulky. But
send
yeah,
a 3x5.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy cow. Like, he completely snapped his phone in a fit of rage. I couldn't believe it. So we were talking about the Pokemon thing. I asked you a little bit ago before we started tonight about if you ever played the old Nintendo, and you said you did. Nintendo announced a couple of weeks ago, and I talked very extensively about this on my video cast the other night. Nintendo announced that they are re-releasing the original Nintendo.
The big one!
No kidding.
We're gonna have a heart attack!
And what it is it's like maybe half or less the size. It's not real big. It'll fit in the palm of your hand. Looks just like a classic Nintendo.
Can you fit it on a keychain?
No, it's not quite that small. It comes with a Nintendo Classic controller, but it's preloaded. It's like got a hard drive in it, and it's got 30 original Nintendo games on it, like the best of the best. And it plugs to your TV via HDMI. So you can't buy cartridges or anything for it. You can't put new games on
So nothing you can...
No, none of that. No blowing into the cartridge.
That's the fun part, man.
The list of games is stellar. Now, I don't know what games you played as a kid, but pretty much all the best games that I played are on it.
Such as?
The 3 Mario Brothers, Mario 1, 2, and 3. The 2 Zelda games, obviously I'm a massive Zelda fan. Metroid, which is... I never really got into the original NES Metroid, but I've played pretty much every Metroid since.
I think I played that over at Dave's house.
It's really good.
Are we allowed to name people's names this time?
You could say Dave, yeah.
Okay.
Just don't be too specific, I guess. I don't want to piss anybody off. That's the only thing. But yeah, like, and what else was there?
Well, if you want to be mentioned, join. Join in. Comment.
Yeah, come. Be friends with us.
Be sociable.
Talk. Anyway, yeah,
Jump down to Jeff's basement.
What else was it? Super Punch-Out,
Yeah.
the boxing game.
Remember playing that?
Originally featuring Mike Tyson, but no longer features Mike Tyson due to licensing reasons. Still a great game. Excite Bike, the dirt bike racing, side-scrolling dirt bike racing game, was mind-blowing.
Any word on Paperboy?
No Paperboy. Yes,
I'm still
upset
amazed
about
there
that.
is no app on
For Paperboy?
your phone.
You know what? I haven't even thought about that game in years.
Why not?
I love Paperboy.
That was a classic.
But that game was ported to a bunch of different systems too. Like it was on the Genesis.
Port this, buddy.
I'm sure it's a licensing issue. All but a few of the there's 30 games that they put on this thing, which is impressive. That's not on there.
But the games are so small.
Well, yeah, I mean they're like literally less than a megabyte. Some of them.
Yeah, it's just mostly sound.
Yeah, that the sound is like the majority of the space. The biggest omissions, in my opinion, Duck Hunt isn't on there. But you have to have a gun to play Duck Hunt.
Yeah, it's kind of pointless.
I don't think the gun would work with HD TVs because I think they were specially designed back in the day to work with like the old style CRTs. Yeah, and I believe me, I went onto this really nice long thing on the Facebook podcast about Duck Hunt and how much I loved it. Me and my dad would actually play it together.
Yeah, I remember my dad, and that's all he would play.
My dad was addicted to it. And what was the other mission? Tetris. No Tetris on this thing.
Really?
Bummed me out, man.
I know that all phones pretty much that aren't smartphones come standard with a trial version of.
That might have something to do with it
Tetris.
too. Is Tetris is everywhere. Like it's one of the few games that have lasted for 30 odd years because phones have it. People can download Flash games with it. Every single iteration of Game Boy has had it. There are 100 different versions of Tetris for most systems. I mean, I had
Bejeweled.
a Tetris. Yeah, well, Bejeweled's not really Tetris though. I mean, that's quite a different thing. But
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, it's more.
Bejeweled's more of like a mix and
Connect
match
4.
game. Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah, whereas Tetris is just the dropping blocks and whatnot. But yeah, there's no Tetris, there's no Duck Hunt, there's no Paperboy. I didn't even think about Paperboy, but I'm kind of bummed that you mentioned it because I would love to play that like right now. Paperboy was a fun game, and it was a tough game.
It was, yeah.
Oh, I died all the time in that game.
What was? You get hit by cars. You could slip in oil.
You could hit by vehicles.
Tornadoes.
Tornadoes would come around. Sometimes people would throw stuff at you. There were ramps and stuff. If you jumped them and didn't land right, you would fall and get busted. You'd crash into stuff. If you crashed into anything, you'd die.
You'd probably be shot by
fire hydrants. Kids on skateboards.
Now you'd probably be shot by imaginary policemen.
Yeah, Paperboy. Man, I'm glad you mentioned that because I haven't even thought about that game for a long time. That would have been awesome. What else was on there? There were a few other games. I think Kid Icarus is on there. Did you ever play that? No, I wasn't into it either. My wife's brother's really was into that.
I was more into like military games.
Yeah, like what?
The Jackal.
Never played it.
Top Gun. The first one. There's the second one. I don't remember the second one being.
Top Gun is a movie I've never watched.
I really can't say if I've watched that all the way through.
My friend Guy loves that movie. That's one of his all-time favorites.
That's because he probably has man crush on what's his name? Not Tom Cruise, but the other guy.
Val Kilmer, Goose. I don't know. But
no, it's probably the guy from ER.
George Clooney?
No, George Clooney wasn't in that.
I know he wasn't in Top Gun, but you said guy from ER. I don't know. Anthony Edwards, maybe? He was kind of a nerd.
At one time, he was like the highest paid actor on that show.
On ER?
Yeah.
The highest paid actor on ER was George Clooney by far. But he was definitely not in Top Gun. I don't know. I never saw Top Gun. Like, I've seen bits and pieces. I'm familiar with a couple of characters, but I've never watched it. There's like Maverick and Goose and like the chick. Who's the chick in that? Was it Kelly LeBrock or?
No.
Elizabeth Shue or? She was good looking. She was really pretty, but I can't remember who she is. Yeah, I never saw Top Gun. So anyway, back to Nintendo games. Oh man, I can't think of what the other ones were. There's a few other ones I was like blown away. I'm like,
Contra?
Yes. No, not Contra. Contra is a game by a company called Konami. And Konami, I guess, wouldn't release the rights to any of their games. I don't think any of the Konami games. Konami's had a couple really great Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, and they wouldn't release the rights. One of the Castlevanias is on, maybe the original Castlevania. You ever play that one? The vampire hunting game? It's pretty good. Side-scroller, platformer. It's like legendarily hard.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's not on there.
That was a good one.
That was a tough game, too. Yeah.
There's one of those, like, you just never... Do you know somebody who beat that game?
Nobody
I don't know.
Game. Battletoads was another really tough one. Yeah, I played Battletoads quite a bit, and there was this one level, it was so fast, I never could beat it. I never got past it. And it was an earlier level in the game, too. Like, I've seen YouTube videos about, like, I watch a ton of video game stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool.
And, like, a lot of, like, toughest games and, like, easiest games, like, those kind of videos.
It's like, yeah, I'm cool. Yeah. I can get this level in Tomb Raider in 18 minutes.
Yeah, right.
That's nice.
Yeah, good for you,
put that
buddy.
on a resume?
Hey, I know what a vagina smells like.
If I were to show you a broom, a mop, and a vagina. Would you be able to tell me the difference? Fake.
That's enough. Okay, anyway.
I digress, Joe.
How about, yeah, there you go. Final Fantasy is on there, too. It's one of the NES games. You ever play any of the Final... There's been like 16 of them, I think.
No, I never played any like fantasy stuff, whatever. I never really got into anything really fantasy related until like The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, actually.
Probably two of the all-time best fantasy...
But even with like Harry Potter, I never got into it until Prisoner of Azkaban came out in theaters. So
you were movies and then books when it came to Harry Potter? Because that's how I was.
Well, it's kind of hard to say. I saw Prisoner of Azkaban. Actually, I was there with Dave.
That is an excellent...
With several others.
Movie.
And, we're like halfway through the movie, I look over at Dave, I'm like, Dave, I have no idea what the hell's going on. I gotta read the books.
Had you seen the previous two Harry Potter movies before that?
No.
So you were literally in the dark.
I was a virgin. It was my first time.
Nice.
And actually, what it ended up being nice was, I remember Dave and I ended up going to the book release for the, well, for those of you who don't know, Dave was, at the time, he was my next door neighbor, so, and we were best friends at the time, so anytime I was not at home, I was over at their house. So, that's why I was hanging out with him so often. But, ended up going to the book release for the Half-Blood Prince. And ever since the Half-Blood Prince came out...
Which is the 6th book in the series, for those that don't know.
But, I've kept track of every single book that I have read since that book release has been released. And now I'm up to the book like 530 some.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not a reader. Like, there are books I've read, and I do read, but, most of my reading is, I don't read novels anymore. I don't have the time. It's tough when you have a young baby and stuff. Before the baby was born, I would read like a novel.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's
tough being single too. All I do is what I want whenever I want.
Yeah, that really sucks.
I mean, people have no idea what it's like.
But anyway, back to the Harry Potter thing.
You don't know what it's like.
Baby, you don't know what it's like
to love somebody. Alright, that's enough.
That was like the worst Bee Gees impression ever. Even worse than the guys on Saturday Night Live who do the Andy and Barry Gibb thing. You ever see that?
Actually, I wasn't the Beatles or Bee Gees I was thinking of.
That was the Bee Gees. What you were saying, it was a Bee Gees song.
Was it?
Yeah.
They wrote it?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm sure they wrote it. They wrote, like, every song they wrote was a
That's
hit.
True.
Like, and I'm not, like, a big fan of the Bee Gees, but boy, they were good, and they were incredibly talented, and, yeah, that was a Bee Gees song, definitely. Baby, you don't know. I don't even know what that song's called.
Well, actually, speaking of the Bee Gees real quick, and talking about the new Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
But, there's a scene where, Andrew Scott, he plays an excellent Moriarty. He's Sherlock Holmes' nemesis. But, they're having, like, one of those, Battle of Wits.
By the way, this is the new one, right? The Benedict Cumberbatch Holmes?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Because you mentioned the previous one in the last podcast.
Jeremy Brett, which no one knows about.
Yeah, I don't know about it either, but I'm interested in it, and I will check it out
soon. It is very good. Anyhow, but, it's one of those, like, I'll burn your heart, and I'll do all this. And all of a sudden, he orders his guys to kill him, and then all of a sudden he's like, stay alive! Can you hold on a second? How do I answer that? He picks up, it's a ringtone on his phone.
Oh, that was a ringtone.
I mean, it just fits in there perfect.
Nice. Who was I just talking to the other day?
It's one of the best moments from that season.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and they mentioned it was somebody I work with. I work with a couple of guys who were like 19, 20 years old, and we were talking about staying alive. And the one guy asked me, he's like, "Have you ever seen the video for that song?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like they made a music video?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's just a guy walking down the street, and it's a close up of his feet, and then they back off, and it's John Travolta." I'm like, dude, that's the movie Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
I was like, that song and like most of their biggest hits were the soundtrack to that movie. And he had no idea. And like, it blew my mind. Cause like, I mean, I'm too young for that. Obviously that movie came out like 6 or 7 years before I was born. And I'm not a fan of like disco, but that movie's a great movie. You ever watch it? You ever watch that? You should watch it. It's really good. Like, it's a good story. The dancing is great. Like, I like to watch dancers. I like to watch good dancers dance. I do. I mean, you could call it homo or whatever you want to say.
Guys in polyester.
Yeah, sure. But, I mean, John Travolta in that movie was really at his height. He was awesome in that movie. And he's a great dancer. He was so good. I love Saturday Night Fever is a good movie. And the soundtrack's killer. I mean, the Bee Gees really were, like, at that time, for that snapshot in time, in 1977, I think, ish, when that movie came out, The Bee Gees really were like the best band, not the best band, the most popular. And they were great.
A group.
They were great. They were really good. And that soundtrack is killer. And so many awesome tunes off of that. Like, just good dance songs. Like, they can play some of those.
That's the best thing about the 80s. We got rid of one of the Bee Gees.
Aww. And then in the early 2000s, another Bee Gee died. But anyway. Yeah, but no, seriously. Like, you know, it was a good movie. It kind of blew my mind that this kid didn't know about the movie.
I remember the Tonight Show with,
Johnny Carson, Jay Leno.
Jay Leno. Yeah, that's it. They said that whenever you're doing chest compressions, whenever you're doing CPR, they always say that you should think of
that song.
Staying Alive.
That's like the right rhythm.
Yeah, the right tempo.
Boom, boom. Yeah.
I think people kind of think you're weird doing, you know, doing chest compressions on somebody's like, "Kill Mary, back off, man." Say what is he doing?
That makes sense though. Like if you think about it, because that
120 that's 120 beats a minute.
That song is like, it's a timeless song. And people who have never heard of Saturday Night Fever, people who don't even know much about disco, know Staying Alive. Like, it's that popular. It transcended generations. It's a good tune, man.
People who don't even know John Travolta.
That's kind of hard to believe, too, because, like, you know, he was so popular in the late 70s. He was in a couple huge movies, obviously Saturday Night Fever, excuse me. Urban Cowboy was a huge movie. And he was in Welcome Back, Kotter, the TV show. Did you ever watch that TV show? Oh, it was excellent. That's where he got his start. About 75, 76 or something.
Oh, don't forget about Grease, too.
Oh, and Grease. Yes, thank you. Obviously, Grease. I hate Grease, by the way. I fucking hate that movie. But he was in it.
I don't know why, but I always reference that song. Tell me more. Was it love at first sight?
Yeah, no thanks. But anyway, yeah.
Please don't complain on all the singing we're doing.
Yeah, I know, man. You know, I've drank a couple beverages, so I'm in the singing mood. But yeah, I didn't care for Grease at all. But I mean, I respect that movie because obviously they sang, they danced. It was a musical. I'm trying to think
of some of his later movies that he's done.
Well, he like disappeared in the 80s. Like he did some movies here and there, I guess, but nothing that I could name.
It was Michael.
Yeah, that was in the mid-90s.
Phenomenon.
It was terrible. Phenomenon was terrible, too. I didn't like either one of those movies.
Face Off.
Face Off is a good movie.
I like that one.
Him and,
Nicolas Cage.
Yes, Nicolas Cage. Thank you. There was somebody else in it. Was Christian Slater in that movie, too?
No, I think he was actually, I think he was originally cast in that, but it went to Nicolas Cage, I think.
Nicolas Cage is one of those actors where,
I don't care for him.
Dude, like, either he is, like, you watch a movie with him and he is freaking brilliant, or you watch a movie with him and he's terrible. There's no mid-ground.
Con Air.
Con Air is awesome.
It is.
I love that movie.
Then again, you got John Malkovich in there.
John Malkovich is good in everything. Pay this man his money. Have you seen that movie? Rounders. John Malkovich. It's a poker movie. Ed Norton, Matt Damon. I know you don't like Matt Damon, but that's one of the movies where he's really good. It was like late 90s, 98 or something, and it's about Matt Damon's like a poker player, a professional, well, I shouldn't say professional, but you know, he was kind of making a living on the side playing poker, yeah. And Ed Norton is his best friend, who is like a degenerate poker player, and he like overbets, and he's been in and out of jail, and he ends up with this Russian guy played by John Malkovich, in his back room at his house playing poker for serious, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And John Malkovich has he has 3 scenes in the whole movie, and he just kills it when he's on screen. He's so good. And his Russian accent is so great. Like, it's not actually a Russian accent. Like, it's a poorly done Russian accent that's so bad that it's good.
You know I got a Polish name, right?
Yeah, exactly. Malkovich, which technically is somewhat Russian, I guess. They're close.
It's close, yeah.
They're Eastern Russia, you know, Western Asia, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, John Malkovich is awesome in that movie. He's basically the bad guy in that movie. You know, another movie I love him in is The Man in the Iron Mask.
Yes.
Like, I don't really love that movie, and I hate
DiCaprio
in that movie.
It's one of the few movies that Leonardo DiCaprio is in where his character is not killed off.
True.
If you think about it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But you know what? I haven't seen a whole ton of his... No, he wasn't killed off in Gilbert Grape, by the way.
Yes.
Which is a fantastic movie. That might have been DiCaprio's first true performance.
I think so.
He was very young.
That
like
and
16,
there was that Western with Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah,
Sharon Stone.
Oh, The Quick and the Dead. Oh, yeah. That's a good movie too. Yeah,
Russell Crowe.
He dies in that too. Russell Crowe was in that. Yeah, Russell Crowe was like the major.
Yeah, but I think that was one of his first roles. I think it was Gilbert Grape though.
Gilbert Grape was just such a good movie. Of course, Johnny Depp is in it, and he is just early '90s Johnny Depp is awesome. Like he was so good in everything he was in at that time.
I don't think I saw a lot of his early stuff.
Well, Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, Edward Scissorhands.
Excellent.
Platoon. But he has a real small role in Platoon.
Yeah, he's not like a major
You blink,
character.
you'd miss him.
That's a What a good movie.
His character's name's Lerner.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that speaks Vietnamese, so I think he's seen like twice and speaks maybe 2 or 3 times and referenced once.
What else was he in the early 90s? He was in a few movies and he just kills it. Gilbert Grape, obviously fantastic. Oh, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. The Hunter S. Thompson novel that was made into a movie, him and
it's one of those. It's one of those where
Del Toro.
It's one of those where you can picture what the outside of the movie looks like, the movie box looks like.
Yeah, with the crazy like tripping, because there's tons of drugs,
wiggly and all that.
It's a hard movie to follow. I didn't like it the first time I watched it, but when I went back and rewatched it, it got better. Like I ended up liking it a lot more, and like he's just so. It's hard to play crazy, and Hunter S. Thompson was crazy, but in a good way. And he plays Hunter S. Thompson, I guess he plays him so, like everybody says, hey, this is exactly how he was. Like, he hung out with Hunter S., he got to know him, he read all the novels. Like, you know, he really put time and effort, Johnny Depp did put time and effort into learning that guy and his character for that movie, and it shows. You know, it was Daniel Day-Lewis-esque, type method acting, like, to the point where he lives that, breathes, drinks, eats that character, and just nails it. And, that's why I like the movie, because Johnny Depp's one of those actors where you watch a movie with him in it and you think of him as Johnny Depp, you don't think of him as the character. Even though he plays the characters well, like Captain Jack Sparrow, like the Pirates movies, which I think are fantastic. I like all of them. But like, you know, I still see Captain Jack Sparrow as Johnny Depp, not as Captain Jack Sparrow. But when I watch Hunter S. Thompson or Fear and Loathing, I don't see Johnny Depp. I see Hunter S. Thompson. Blow was another one. You ever watch the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, early 2000s?
Yeah, I have seen it.
It's a true story based around a guy named George Young, late 60s, early 70s, ended up getting into drug dealing. First, it was all about pot.
What I thought was interesting about that movie with the casting is Johnny Depp's parents were actually a couple in
Goodfellas. Yeah, it was Ray Liotta and Lorraine Bracco, I think is her name. The mom.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool, actually, now that you mentioned it.
I like it was that rags to riches story or whatever. It's like, Dad, I don't ever want to be poor, and you never will.
Blow is an awesome movie. Anybody who hasn't seen it, I recommend
Cruz is in there, too.
Oh, she was hey, Paul Rubens is in that movie, too. Pee Wee Herman. Yeah. And he was good. He played Derek for real, the kind of androgynous drug dealer that gets Johnny Depp.
Oh, and it has the guy who played Johnny Tapia from Bad Boys 2.
I've never seen either of the Bad Boys movies.
Oh, good movies.
Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's surprising I didn't see that, because that was when both of those guys were really at their height in the late 90s, and I love Will Smith. Like, I think he can't do anything wrong. Like, any movie and I haven't seen all his movies, but the ones I've seen, most of them I've seen have all been great.
There's that one movie with him and takes place in this future with him and his son. That one was lame.
It's not The Pursuit of Happiness, is it?
No.
Because I don't think that took place in the future.
But, and there's that other one. Not the book of Eli. That's Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
There's another one. I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. Or actually, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen.
How about I, Robot?
I, Robot is awesome.
Have you read the book, by the way? I, Robot. It's an Asimov book, right? Yeah, I never read it.
I borrowed that off of Dave, actually.
You don't have that book, do you?
I don't know if I gave it back to Dave.
Because it's supposed to be like a legendary sci-fi book.
It's actually the book is actually in the eyes of the doctor, the female doctor.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
The movie's great. I, Robot's a good movie, and it's one of those ones that makes you think like, wow, if AI ever did actually happen, and I truly feel it will.
And it's in a way, it's kind of like Skynet from Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, computer technology,
AI kind of takes over the world and such. Yeah, but the
guy who plays the detective, not Will Smith, but his I can't remember the guy's name, but he was in a TV show. The black guy, he was in a TV show called Boss in Public. Played the principal.
Yeah, I remember the show. Yeah. Oh, the principal. Yeah, that was not Ving Rhames. Bigger black guy.
Yeah, but
I can't think of the guy's name, but I can see his face. I know.
But that was a really good show. I missed that show.
My mom and dad watched that show. I never watched it though.
I don't think there's anybody real well known.
Wait, wasn't William Shatner in that show?
Yeah, actually, I think he was.
That's what I remember from Boston Public, was the black dude and William Shatner. I never really watched it. I just remember my parents would watch it, and like I'd walk through the living room.
Have you ever seen Hoodlum?
No.
With Tim Roth? That's a good movie.
Tim Roth is another great actor. Yes. He was incredibly underrated. Quentin Tarantino kind of made that dude's career, but like he was so good in those early Tarantino movies, like Reservoir Dogs. You fucking shot me! And then, of course,
I'm defiant!
Pulp Fiction. Speaking of Travolta, Pulp Fiction to me is like, it's up here. It is a top all-time movie. I love Pulp Fiction, and Tim Roth is awesome in that movie. You've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Hit and miss.
Oh, man.
I don't remember much of it except Matthew Modine.
Yes.
Because he was in one of the very first war movies I ever saw. There's only a couple other movies you can think of with him in it.
Well, of course he was in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's
everyone thinks
awesome.
like, oh yeah, Full Metal Jacket. Oh yeah. Name another movie he's been in.
Cricket.
Hey, cricket chirping. Really? Where?
Full Metal Jacket is my all-time favorite war movie.
You guys are aware there's a whole other hour of that movie, right?
Everybody always remembers the first half. And understandably so. R. Lee Ermey took over that movie. Did I pronounce his name right? Yeah. The drill sergeant.
Well, he was originally supposed to be just a consultant. Then I think he did a little soundbite or something like that, and
Kubrick's like, you're my guy.
Kubrick looked over the guy you originally cast and was like, you're fired.
Get the hell out of here.
You're in.
You probably know this. Ermey, he improvised like 95% of his lines in that movie. Like, he just was coming up with it. They said that people on set had to stop. Like, the whole Joker thing, Matthew Modine was generally laughing at the lines because he was just crushing the fat dude. Just crushing him. And then Modine starts laughing. He said something funny. I can't remember the exact line in the movie. And then he come over, you must be some kind of a Joker! And
is this you, John Wayne?
That was all improvised.
Is this me?
That's,
something like that.
Yeah, it's completely, that's wonderful. Like, it's
I always
so
wondered,
good.
I was wondering, like, that line actually come from a John Wayne movie, or is it just him horsing around with his voice?
Well, he said the Pilgrim line, and John Wayne was known for saying it. Like, then he said, oh, you're talking to me, Pilgrim, or something like that. I mean, it has to be. I mean, I never watched any John Wayne flicks. That was a little before my time, and I just was never into spaghetti westerns.
Yeah, but, I've watched John Wayne movies, but not the westerns. I loved his war movies. Oh, so many good ones. Sans of Iwo Jima.
That was like one of the most popular ones.
The Fighting Seabees.
I never heard of that one.
There's quite a few good ones.
Well, we can talk about Kubrick. Like, well, we mentioned earlier about Clockwork Orange. A friend of mine said, do not watch that movie, like, in his podcast.
It's no wonder people don't like Canadians, you know that?
I've never, like, fully watched a Clockwork Orange either. Like, I've seen bits and pieces of it.
I have it on tape.
I believe it. That's a cult movie, and that's one of those flicks that, you either love or you hate, I guess. Like, there's a pretty big, like, group of people that don't like that movie, and it's very, very, I guess, very, like, sexual and kind of dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't really remember. Like, I know the main character, and I know what he looks like, and I know sort of the very, very basic premise of the movie, but I really don't know much
if
about
you look at the very first season or the very first Halloween special of The Simpsons, they have that costume party at the Simpsons house, and Bart is wearing the outfit.
Oh, really?
Of the guys from A Clockwork Orange.
Now, is he playing the main character from A Clockwork? Like, does he have, like, the eye makeup
eyelash
and all that stuff?
Yeah.
That's cool. The hat and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school with a kid, who was hardcore into that movie, and, like, he actually now, he does, like, a lot of movies. Like, I think he went to film school and everything, and, he's on my Facebook. He's a good guy, and, he does riffing, actually. He has a group called, I think it's called, like, Neo Trash Video on Facebook. Look it up, guys. And they do live riffs of bad movies, and my friend was, like, a huge Clockwork Orange. He was a huge Kubrick fan, excuse me.
Kubrick.
I can remember, like, in high school, him and I talking about Full Metal Jacket and Eyes Wide Shut and, 2001.
Movie.
And, Eyes Wide Shut was terrible.
I know, but who cares?
I will say this. That was the one movie where I thought Nicole Kidman looked really good.
She did.
She looked amazing in that movie. Of course, you, like, see her practically naked in that movie. The only other movie I ever thought that she looked good in was Batman Forever with Val Kilmer, Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones played Two-Face. She was in that. She was Dr. Chase Meridian. She was the main love interest of Bruce Wayne. She was gorgeous, man. She was still pretty young, blonde hair, super fair skin. She was just absolutely gorgeous. And in Eyes Wide Shut, she looked good. And anything since then, she's, to me, wasn't, like, I never thought she was a great actress either. But I think she kind of went downhill.
No, you know what I think looked hot in the movie? It's Drew Barrymore in Wayne's World 2.
Oh my god, yes! The Swedish chick.
Oh, man.
Oh, you seem to know lots about my home country of Sweden. My Swedish accent's terrible, but you're right. That was her best time, too. Like, Drew Barrymore was so good looking in the early 90s. I mean, she did, like, Playboy and all that stuff at that time, too. She was like in her early 20s at that time.
Yeah, she had just been into cocaine and smoking weed.
She was into all that
15
stuff. 15
years experience.
Yeah, she was
behind her.
Yeah, the early 90s, Drew Barrymore was at her tops. You're right. In Wayne's World 2, she probably looked her best, in my opinion. Although she looked really good in the very first Charlie's Angels movie, which came out 99, 2000, something
Yeah, that sounds
like that.
about right.
Yeah, she looked really good in that, too, but she doesn't look very good
I
anymore.
haven't seen any of them.
Charlie's Angels?
Yeah.
It was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I watched it was because there were very good-looking women in that movie. Lucy Liu was fucking hot. Yeah, like, I'm not even into Asian girls, but she looked good in that movie.
I was going to say, you don't see her in anything except she was in Ally McBeal.
Yeah, that's where
Charlie's
she got
Angels, and that was it.
I think you see her like once. There was something I did see her in.
I think it was like it's one of those hospital shows she was in.
No, you're thinking of Grey's Anatomy. That's the other Asian woman. I can't think of her name. She was in Sideways.
Yeah, she looks like a bull terrier.
Sorta, yeah. Yeah, that's a good. That's so mean because she's a good actress and she's nice looking, but she does have like a weird thing with her nose. Oh, what the fuck's her name? She appeared naked in a movie.
Ugh.
Yeah, there was a movie in the early 2000s called The Blue Iguana, I think. It was a movie about it was a dance club, like a strip club called The Blue Iguana, like a bar. And it was like, the movie was about like things that go on at this strip club bar. Jennifer Tilly was in it.
Ooh. Now she was hot.
She was, you know what she looked good
Past
in?
tense.
She looked great in Addams Family Values.
Chucky.
With the blonde hair. Oh, that's right. She
yeah.
played Chucky, too. That's right. Bride of Chucky, yes. Of course, she was a doll in that movie. But, well, I guess she's
that's
the
why
human
I said
form
Chucky.
at the beginning of the movie, yeah. But yeah, she was in...
Of course she got fried in the bathtub.
Well, yeah, that's right. Dude, I haven't watched that movie since it came out. I went and saw Bride of Chucky in the theater when I was like 15 or whatever, and have never seen it since.
Bride of Chucky is that old?
Easily. I'll bet it's like late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, Jennifer Tilly is in this, I think it's called like Dancing at the Blue Iguana, Night at the Blue Iguana, something like that. She's in it. Daryl Hannah is in it. And she was a little kind of over the hill at the time. But, you know, she didn't look bad in that movie.
The last time I can recall Daryl Hannah is Kill Bill.
I love Quentin Tarantino. I've never seen the Kill Bill movies.
I think that was the first or second one. I have both of them. First one I liked. Because it had live action, then it would also have almost like a comic strip, or a comic strip / animation going on, like whenever they do like background or something like that, or a background story.
Yeah, I never saw the Kill Bill movies, believe it or not. And like, I love Tarantino, obviously. I've seen most of his movies. Inglourious Bastards is fucking awesome. You've seen that, right? Oh my god, you haven't seen Inglourious Bastards? It's a World War II fucking Nazi movie. And
you
you've
just had
never
a
seen
finchgasm.
I did. Like, I have it on Blu-ray. We should watch it. I will loan it. Do you have a Blu-ray player?
No.
Fuck!
Not so close to the mic, please.
Sorry. Fuck! Anyway. Yeah, Inglourious Bastards, dude. Watch the first 5 minutes of it. You'll be hooked. It's so good. It's awesome.
Is that Brad Pitt?
Yes. That's another one of those actors. Like, I think he takes a lot of crap, but man, does he nail every role he's in. Like, obviously Fight Club. Fight Club is just, to me, that's another movie that's way up top. It's so great, and it's such a psychological movie, and a lot of good
Mr. and
action.
Mrs. Smith.
It's a great movie. It's awesome. I love that movie. You don't like it?
I will pass.
I thought it was great. Lots of action, and Angelina Jolie in her prime when she was looking her best, man. Whew. It's a good movie. That was like 2005 or something. Gigi?
No.
Geely? No, that was Ben Affleck, yeah.
No, there's one with her and Gina Gershon. Nice girl-on-girl action. But she played a supermodel. I think that was the first nude scene she ever did.
Really?
But
So I've probably seen still screenshots of that movie. Then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like you do a Google search, like Angel.
Yeah, that would be probably one of the first things that shows up.
Okay.
That and that other movie with Antonio Banderas, Deadly Sin or something like that.
I haven't seen that one, but I know of it.
Oh, speaking of nude scenes, how about Desperado? Salma Hayek.
That is one of my all-time favorite movies as well. I love that movie, and Salma Hayek is incredibly good looking. And dude, Danny Trejo, the knife thrower, is such a badass in that movie. Mr. Machete. So,
speaking of Con Air.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He's in that too. I forgot. Yeah. You know what? He was in a ton of movies, and he played like really small minor roles.
Tarantino also.
Which Tarantino movie was he in?
Like, wasn't he in those From Dusk Till Dawn?
I don't really include those as Tarantino movies because I mean I don't think he wrote those or directed.
Is Quentin Tarantino in the credits?
Yeah, I guess so. He's also in the credits for Desperado, though. He's the guy that gets killed in the bathroom in the beginning at Cheech's bar. The white guy that comes in.
it's been so many years since I've seen that movie, but I should have that.
That's one of those movies I know it line for line.
It's actually because of that movie. It was actually the first time I ever heard Carlos Santana. And it was during the sex scene, and it was Europa.
That song is so good.
It is.
It is. And like when I hear that, because I actually have that song on my hard drive. I do listen to it once in a while, and it has such great memories because it reminds me of Salma Hayek's sweet below the border rack. We're going to go ahead and end it on that, guys. It's been an hour. This was a wonderful conversation, and what's great is I had all this stuff
off right now.
Yeah, right. I had all this stuff written down to talk about, and we didn't touch hardly any of it. So,
we talked about my dad and Jin, though.
That's true, and we did mention the Nintendo. So I will knock that off. But hey, guys, thanks for listening. We had a great time, as always. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comments here on YouTube or on Facebook Live. Remember, hit Jeff Finch Experiment on Facebook. You will find me, and you can check out my live videos as well. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, and take care.
Later.